Yes. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the December 18th meeting of the East Hempfield Township Board of Supervisors. Tonight's meeting has been advertised to be held in person and online using Zoom with login and call-in information posted on our website. The meeting will be conducted by the chairman, who will be assisted by an employee managing the Zoom site. Tonight's video and audio is being recorded and Robert's rules apply. To offer comment, you must be recognized by the chairman. For meeting participants on Zoom, please use the chat function to be recognized. Text your name and address to the moderator. Your request to speak will then be passed on by staff to the chairman to be recognized. Once recognized by the chairman, unmute your microphone, and after speaking, please mute your microphone. East Hempfield Township public comment rules will apply for all public comment. You must be a resident or business owner in the township to speak. You must identify yourself by name and address before speaking and sign the guest log for meeting minute purposes, or follow the chat procedure already discussed for Zoom attendance. Individual comment is limited to 3 minutes and must be about the agenda item being discussed, with the exception of public comment when non-agenda items can be addressed. No action will be taken on any non-agenda items of a non-emergency nature during the public comment period for non-agenda items. We will now move on to our first agenda item. Please join me for a moment of silence and a pledge of allegiance. Pledge. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, our second agenda item for consideration this evening is our consent agenda. The consent agenda addresses the approval of routine and repetitive business matters that tend to need little or no review, discussion, or deliberation. Consent agenda items are provided to all board members for review in advance of our meeting. Is there any comment on the consent agenda from the board? All right, hearing none. Anything from the, I'm sorry.
None.
Okay, anything from the audience? Audience is out there in Zoom tonight. Okay, hearing none, then I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda. Items A to F as presented.
So moved.
A motion from Mr. Johnson. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Brubaker. A motion from Mr. Johnson, a second from Mr. Brubaker. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0. And then I'll entertain a motion to approve consent agenda G, which are the invoices as presented. Mr. Brubaker will be abstaining from this vote. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Motion from Mr. Wigglesworth. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Johnson. Motion from Mr. Wigglesworth, second from Mr. Johnson. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0 with 1 abstention. Okay, next up, we have action item concerning our non-uniform pension plan, and I'll swing this to Mrs. Schweitzer.
So we had a discussion at the last meeting to authorize advertising of this ordinance. It changes the township contribution rate from 9% to 10%, which puts it in line, better in line with the state aid that we receive from, or for the pension plan. In addition, it also makes changes to the pension plan so that we don't have to do an ordinance every time we change the rate. It can be done by resolution, which doesn't require advertising.
Okay, it appears that we're improving the pension program for our employees, which is a good thing. Any questions from the board? Okay, hearing none. Any questions from the audience? Again, hearing none. I'll entertain a motion to approve or adopt an ordinance 2024-07, amending the non-uniform pension plan, raising the township contribution percentage from 9 to 10 on the cash balance plan, and establishing future percentage amendments by resolution. Hear a motion.
So moved.
Motion from Mr. Johnson. Do I hear a second?
Second.
second from Mr. Wigglesworth. Motion from Mr. Johnson, second from Mr. Wigglesworth. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Motion passes 4-0. Next up, we have 2025 insurance renewals for our fire departments in the township. Mrs. Switzer?
So this is the first year that we have a full year of renewals. We moved our renewal from May to the end of the year to aid in our budget discussions. The township renewal went up 5%, which is, they held the line on that. We anticipated 8% in our budget, so that's a positive. And both fire, Vorstown Fire and Hempfield Fire, theirs went up a couple $100, so pretty much insignificant increases there. The major increase in the township one was the auto policy, and they Engelham, Brighton, Davies indicated to us it's really the industry that's doing that, and that auto rates are just skyrocketing. Not necessarily our particular claims.
And approximately how much is the township portion increasing?
5%.
5%. Okay. Well, that doesn't seem too bad. Okay, any comment from the board?
Nope.
Hearing none from the audience? And again, hearing none, I'll hear a motion to accept the 2025 renewal quotes for the township, Worstown Fire, and Hempfield Fire insurance policy plans.
So moved.
Motion from Mr. Brubaker, second from Mr. Bennett. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0. Then finally, we have a motion on behalf of Roots Market. Mrs. Switzer?
So Ritz Market is celebrating their 100th anniversary in the year 2025. They would like to acknowledge that by placing banners along Greystone and Lidditz Road for the year. There's a provision in the there's a provision in the Saldo subdivision land development ordinance that provides the board to make that decision if they would allow those banners to be placed.
So again, to be clear, they're asking us for permission to put banners up from January to December and leave them up for the entire time.
Yes. On existing poles, their banners.
Okay.
Quite an accomplishment, 100
Yes,
years.
100 years to be in business, for sure. I mean, guess I don't see much of an issue here. Any questions or comment from the board?
I guess, do we have any traffic concerns? I mean, is this, are these up on telephone poles?
Telephone poles.
Say they'd be above any line of sight
Yes,
for, as far as traffic goes.
yes.
Okay.
And
Thank
it's
you.
all along their property line, correct?
Yes.
It's not out on 72, it's,
Right.
Basically in their wedge.
Something that touches on the market. Okay, well, again, congratulations are in order. Any questions from the audience concerning this matter? Okay, hearing none, I'll hear a motion to authorize Roots Markets to place anniversary banners along Greystone and Lidditz Road in recognition of their 100th anniversary from January through December 2025. I hear a motion.
so moved.
I hear motion from Mr. Wigglesworth. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Johnson. Motion from Mr. Wigglesworth, a second from Mr. Johnson. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0. Next up, old business here. It looks like we have committee and board vacancies status. Mrs. Switzer, I know we've had a little bit of movement.
Yeah, it's really just advising you that those are the vacancies. Everyone's been contacted. There are 2 vacancies, Planning Commission and the Recreation Authority.
And we do have some candidates in mind, correct?
Yes.
All right. Any questions? Hearing none, from the audience. Okay, then let's move to new business. Any new business? Okay, no new, I don't hear anything on new business. Okay, we had our monthly traffic, commission meeting, tonight earlier at 6 o'clock. The important pieces of, business that we discussed were Landis Farm, improving the safety of, that development along Nisley Road. We're going to add signs to the roadway as well as the roundabout. And we're going to post a bridge weight restriction sign on Nisley at Bowman. We also discussed Running Pump Road. And we're going to shift some speed signage, electronic speed signage onto that road in the very near future. We're going to use equipment that we have available now that's not being used, so we know cost involved in that. We discussed the no parking situation on Wood Street. We also didn't really discuss, but recognized the fact that we've got our no parking signs up on Embassy Drive. And then got a traffic light, street light issue at Marietta Oakwood that we're dealing with. Anything else? Okay, and that's the report for the Traffic Commission. Next up, public comment. Any public comment this evening? Anything from Zoom?
No.
Nothing from Zoom. Okay. Then we'll go to the manager's report.
So I just added information today about Centerville Road. They had a meeting today. The project's basically shut down for the holidays, and they are working on the railroad closure to be happening sometime in February or March of next year. More details will follow on that. Old Ricerstown Road, we did have the final meeting out there to final that project out. We're working on the punch list. Primarily road lines and the plantings need to come around. Farmingdale Road, we did receive the check from the state for $845,000. That closes that grant project down, and that project is now done. The zoning hearing board meeting for Colebrook Validity Challenge, the meeting for tomorrow evening has been canceled and rescheduled, likely for January. Route 72 and Lidditz Road, we're still working on the easements. We have one property owner that I'm waiting to hear back from. The Her Park, we're down for the count in terms of the weather was not cooperating, so that's probably going to be completed in the spring. Nothing to add on Noldora Park. We're still waiting for the low bar quote for that project. Church and Knoll, I did have a conversation with the GSL representative, so we're working out the language on that agreement. There was some additional discussion with the Park and Rec Group, which I can talk about in a little bit later. The Recreation Authority, I'm going to be adding that in because there's some activity going on there that the board should be aware of so that they keep apprised of what's happening. The Recreation Authority has meetings set up tomorrow with 2 architectural firms to talk to them to see which one they would select in response to an RFP they put out to look at what they want to do with the pro shop and barn. Hopefully there'll be a recommendation out of that meeting that they can discuss at their meeting on the 22nd. They currently have $60,000 set aside in their accounts to cover that funding for that architect. The burn ban has been lifted. It was expired December 6th and was not reinstituted. We talked about the insurance renewals. The 2024 ending cash balance, just letting you know the real estate transfer taxes, when we did the budget, we anticipated effective October. The last 2 payments have been higher than we expected. We're not going to meet budget at 1.2, but we're going to come real close. We talked about Landisville Farm concerns, Wood Street concerns, the Nisley and Gloucester Basin. The contractor hopes to have that excavation work done by the end of the year, and then they'll be back in the spring for the plantings. I did attend a meeting of the Heritage Trail, which is the former Goat Path Trail. That's the trail that starts in East Lampeter, goes through the city, comes out at F&M College, and then meets up with the Blue-Green Corridor, running the north-south direction. So they're a very active group and working on their individual parts. I did hear from the Blue-Green Corridor people that they hope to have everything in place by 2027. So that's a positive, but they are still looking for funding, which you'll probably see on your January agenda. They're looking for support to submit an application. The LIMC, Lancaster, I don't remember the acronym. But anyway, the LIMC, which is a group of metro municipalities that meet on every 2 months. We heard a presentation from the county regarding the radio program, and he indicated to us that the Phase 2 requirement for those radios still continues to be the deadline at 1/1/2027. And we are in line to get that accomplished probably in 2026, unless we get some grant funding, which Chief is looking for. As I had mentioned, the Park and Recreation Group, we had also had a meeting. The DMA is going to be moving forward for a survey on the Church and Knolt property and also filing an NPDS permit. This work will allow us to get geared up for our submission for a larger grant process and put in key points to where all the things need to be placed on that property when the proper time happens. The first one being the ball diamond that's been requested by HYA. We also talked about an initiative that Hempfield Recreation is doing to do a regional park programming that would cover Mountville, East and West Hempfield, and hopefully utilize our parks better, creating programs that they would run because they are experts in that field. That's still being formulated, and what that really looks like will come to fruition sometime in 2025. That's my report unless there's questions. Oh, and our next meeting is reorganization meeting, which is January 6th at 7 p.m.
I'd make a couple of quick comments from a Recreation Committee aspect. We are in the process of renewing our agreement with the Hempfield Area Recreation Commission. We did discuss that at the last meeting, and we don't see any issues there, moving forward. I would point out that when we were talking about the Recreation Authority and the meeting that they're going to have, I think tomorrow, to select an architect, I think it's a good sign that the Recreation Authority at the end of the year the golf operation has become very, let's not say very profitable to the point where we can commit that kind of funding to an architect and improvement of facilities there. So things are moving in the right direction with the Recreation Authority. And then finally, I would say a question on I think I heard you say that there's been an improvement in receipts, tax receipts.
Real estate transfer.
Real
tax,
estate
yes.
transfer. And it's moved, we spoke about a 900,000 shortfall
Overall, yes.
overall. How much of an improvement did we see? I mean, obviously, it's not going to be huge, but I mean, in terms of the
About just shy of 200,000
200,000.
in the positive way. So
Awesome.
as opposed to 9, it would be 7
Awesome.
in round numbers.
Okay, awesome. And again, when we do this budgeting, we budget very conservatively on the revenue side as well as the expense side. Some good financial signs here at the end of the year for the township. Okay. So any questions from the board?
I have a topic for so Nate and I at different times attended a affordable housing workshop. I have the information above Thank you for agreeing to attend our deliberative workshop on affordable housing on December 9th at the Dale High Leadership Center. So we had the workshop which talked about affordable housing and used the deliberative process to determine what, well, let me state that two supervisors or attendees from each township in Lancaster County were invited. I probably should have done more homework on how I want to present this to everybody. And I really don't have anything to present other than I attended and Nate attended, and I'd be interested in people's feedback, but let me get a better method of like presenting that, I think. But just the fact that this workshop did exist and it was interesting, but it's difficult to know, like, what do I do with this information? So I would just like some, to discuss that at some point.
Did they provide you anything, any takeaway?
Yeah, but that's not assembled yet. Like Nate's
gotcha.
session had a takeaway and mine did too, but they're going to produce a report and maybe that'll be a good talking point or something we could work from. Yeah, and every township is different, and there were some very rural ones and not super urban, but like Lancaster City, and I think we all think about this a different way, but it was interesting, and I'd like to learn more about it and and what it means to us, because it's kind of a new topic for me.
Okay, well, thank you. Any other comment from anywhere? Okay. Hearing none, I'll wish everyone a Merry Christmas and adjourn the meeting at 7:24.